everyone, welcome back to the workshop, aka the Dirty Barn in darkest France. Today I want to talk about acknowledgements, waving by other motorcyclists to motorcyclists. I want to examine and I want to talk about why do we do it, why do we wave, how do we wave, who should we wave at, who should we not wave at, and what do we do about people that don't wave. So, kicking off with why do we wave? Essentially, motorcyclists are part of an unspoken brotherhood or sisterhood, and as a result there is an acknowledgement to another motorcyclist who is part of this brotherhood or sisterhood. Now, back in the day, there was an element of rebelliousness towards motorcyclists. The film The Wild Ones did a lot to perpetuate this myth that motorcyclists are dirty, greasy and somewhat aggressive fellows or fellowesses. And of course nowadays, with your average bike costing many thousands of pounds, and therefore the motorcycling fraternity being made up to quite a considerable degree, I think, of somewhat ageing bikers, whose probably the most rebellious thing they do is cheat at the whist drive while they're tying up their, or not tying up, while they're closing their Velcro shoes and checking their elasticated waist trousers. Now, where I live in the West, what is typically known as the West of the planet, i.e. Europe, America, etc., then we wave in a particular way. In Europe, it is very easy for people to acknowledge another biker by waving with their left hand, because they ride on the right, they drive on the right hand side of the road, and therefore the clutch hand is the one that does all the waving, and so you can get the sort of the trailing V off the clutch hand lever. You can get a little wave while still on the handlebars, or you can get a more generous wave as you go past a fellow motorcyclist. In England, where for reasons which I don't need to discuss here, people drive on the left, which for a motorcyclist is extremely inconvenient if you want to acknowledge a fellow motorcyclist, because of course if you wave with your left hand they don't really see it because it's on the near side of the road. If they wave with their right hand, the bike will come to a halt, or it will certainly slow down significantly. So in England you get the nod, okay, and it's often imperceptible. So you'll be riding along and you'll see someone and you'll just go like that, and there are times when you honestly don't know that they've even nodded, but they have. And you equally do an imperceptible nod back. Very occasionally, particularly if you're on a road where there's little traffic, which doesn't happen very often in England, you might wave with either hand. So that's the how to wave. The next thing to talk about is who to wave to. Okay, now one of the things that I have a conundrum with is if you're riding along and you see four motorcyclists in a train coming along the road towards you, which one do you wave at? Do you wave at the first one? Do you wave at the middle one so as not to take any preference over either end? Or do you wave at the last one? And for them, which one of them should wave back, if indeed they wave back at all? Because if you were riding along and you waved at all four, particularly, I'm talking about riding in Europe, you'd be going, and it's the equivalent of a Nazi German in a staff car waving at his troops. So which one are you supposed to wave at? Also, should you wave at scooter riders? I mean, they are motorcyclists after all. Should you wave at scooter riders? I don't know. Should you ride at people riding a trike? I mean, yes, they're in the open air. Yes, they're wearing a crash helmet, usually, not always. And let's face it, you've then got to examine the question of why they even bought a trike in the first place, because you have all the disadvantages of a car, i.e. you can't filter, and all the disadvantages of a motorcycle. So health reasons aside, because I get it that there may be health reasons as to why you'd ride a trike, I don't understand why anyone buys a trike. If you think about a Can-Am, which is the one with the 2 front wheels and the 1 rear wheel, it's as wide as a car. You get wet when it rains, you can't filter. For the same money, well, probably less, considerably less, you could have a Mazda MX-5, and then you could put the roof up when it rains. So you'd have all the advantages of the open top, all the disadvantages of a car, but that's fine, you're in a car, but the advantage of the car in that you can put the roof up if it rains. So, who are you supposed to wave at? I don't know the answer. Who not to wave at? Now, if you see 2 youths on a scooter in a city not wearing helmets but wearing hoodies and a mask over their face, I would say don't wave at them, because if you do, you're more likely to attract them to steal your bike. Okay, so don't wave at youths on scooters wearing hoodies. People who don't wave. Now, this is a tricky one, because, of course, if you are the sort of biker that waves at people, that acknowledges the brotherhood or sisterhood, and you think, oh, there's a bike coming along, I shall wave at an appropriate moment. So he's coming towards you, or she is coming towards you. I should call them they, really, shouldn't I? It would make it much easier. Riding along, and you get to an appropriate point and you go like that, or like that. And they do nothing. That they just ignore you completely. And then you think, well, why didn't I do that? Because they weren't going to wave at me. But of course you don't know that. You don't know that. And then you've got to think, well, what are they thinking? What is this person thinking who's riding towards you, who you are the only other vehicle on the road? There's just you and them. And therefore, they must see you. They absolutely must know you exist and that you're riding towards them. So they're riding along and they're thinking, oh God, no. Oh, there's a bike. Oh God, he's going to want me to wave at him. And I don't want to wave. No, I'm not going to wave. I'm just going to ride on. I'm not going to look at him. I'm not going to look at him. No. Oh God, I think he's looking at me. No, don't look. Look the other way. Look to the side. Look up. Look anywhere. Just don't look at them. And oh, they've gone past. Oh, thank God, I didn't have to wave. Thank goodness for that. Oh, I hope I don't meet another bike, because then I'll be in the same dilemma all over again. Presumably, that's what happens. This is what they go through. Because why wouldn't you want to wave? Why wouldn't you want to acknowledge? I mean, I get it that if you're on the way to watch a MotoGP, as I have in Catalonia, just for argument's sake, because that's where I went with a good friend of mine many years ago, there were thousands of bikes, literally thousands of bikes. Nobody waved at anyone because you'd have spent more time waving than riding your bike. And I get that. There are times when waving at other bikes is inappropriate, unnecessary, and don't bother with it. But if you're on a road and there's just you and another motorcyclist, why wouldn't you acknowledge them? Is the person who doesn't acknowledge you the sort of person that if you were broken down, they wouldn't stop and help? Because if you are broken down, and fortunately I've been lucky enough not to break down very often, but if you're broken down by the side of the road, or you see a fellow motorcyclist broken down, you stop. You would stop and ask them. Even if you have the mechanical acumen of a baboon, you would stop. Or if you needed help to get off of your bath chair because of your elasticated waist trousers being too tight, you would stop and try and give them assistance. But would the motorcyclist who refuses, who absolutely will not, tractor going past, who will not acknowledge you, would they stop and help you? I suspect not. They are the sort of person that, were they a doctor and you were in desperate need of medical assistance, they would say, sorry, I'm not on duty, and they'd walk on by. They are the sort of people that do not wave at motorcyclists, at fellow motorcyclists. So, no idea what the answer is. I don't know how you would encourage other motorcyclists to acknowledge you more. I don't know what the answer is when you see a group of motorcyclists. I definitely know the answer if you see two hooded youths on a scooter dressed in black with face masks. I absolutely know what you need to do in that situation, and that is accelerate away from there as fast as you possibly can, because otherwise you will be stabbed and or your bike will be stolen. But on the other situations, don't know the answer. So if you know the answer, then please by all means drop a comment below. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. If there's any other subjects you'd like me to examine and tear apart, then let me know in the comments below, and I'll be happy to take on a subject and rip it to shreds. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time. Bye for now.